Hello, welcome to the Ascendant Art Podcast. Due to some unforeseen circumstances under new management, you may notice that Mike with Catalytic Comics is not on the roster or screen today. That's because he's taking a little break. Hopefully, eventually, maybe he'll find his way back. But in the meantime, you're going to still have us. This is Vinny with the creator of Lil Chad and Joey over there, Slender Dad, and we're gonna be having a good time tonight, and we're gonna be talking about one of our favorite topics. Which, if you've been listening to our podcast before, you know this. It's anime, and tonight it's gonna be Spy. Is it Spy X Family or just Spy Family?
I mean, there's an X in it, so I've always read it as Spy X Family.
Yeah, I've always because was it Hunter X Hunter or Hunter by Hunter? It's a very anime convention to try to figure out which thing it's gonna be.
I mean, I don't even know what the X is for. I think they just put it in there because it broke it up a little.
Yeah, that's. I think it's got to be some kind of naming convention that's just common for Japan. I live there, and I have no idea why it is or isn't. But oh, we've got Rob in the house. What's good, guys? What's really good? I'm gonna go with my response, which is Spy Family is really good, and that's what we're gonna kind of talk about. Season one wrapped up a few months ago, and because of the virus of unspecified origin, what I think would have been one longer season is now split up into two. I think they're still calling it Core One and Core Two, which is the way anime usually
They are. I
creates.
looked it up earlier.
So if you watch anime, a long season, normal anime seasons are about 12, 13 episodes. A long season will be 24, 23 to 24 episodes, sometimes even as much as 26. And when they do seasons that are that long, they call them cores, where they're effectively two anime seasons where they do a story arc that's around 12 episodes, and then a second story arc around 12 episodes, and maybe a filler episode.
It's why a lot of animes you watch around episode 13, the opening credits change.
That's right, because they're switching it to the new storyline. And Rob's in there. Yeah, I just say Spy Family. I think I'm going to go with that for the sake of simplicity, because we're going to be saying it a lot on this podcast episode, that it's just going to be Spy Family. So, but so Spy Family wrapped up its
I
first
mean, the
core.
first hour is just going to be Spy Family. We might go into free play, and then I might want to talk about Overlord or 17 other animes that I'm watching.
Yeah, anime is good. It's fun, and Joey would be ahead with a lot more anime content like Overlord if he wasn't waiting for dubs. But Spy Family does have a full English dub, so you've got that going for you. And
I'm not gonna. We're not gonna revisit this. I'm a slow reader.
you're a slow reader. I know, slow reader. So Spy Family, great show. It's I think technically it would fall under the slice of life category, even though it's kind of got a plot that's not really just slice of life. But that's what makes it so great. It really is basically a slice of life anime with a whole spy thriller action subtext going on.
Well, and to a certain degree, it almost has like a feel of a throwback to your sitcoms because there is definitely a main story arc going on, but you could kind of just jump in anywhere and watch a self-contained episode.
Exactly. They're fun. Now they've got, you're right. There is an overarching story that you may feel a little confused if you're missing, but I think you can still just go in and enjoy the story as it's going on. So the plot of the story revolves around the main character is Loid Forger, and that's his alias. He's actually a spy. That hence this title, Spy Family. He's a spy, and this is I think the setting would be able to properly be described as probably an analog for East and West Germany during the Cold War. Would be, I think. You agree?
There's
That's
definitely there's an analog there. Yes.
yeah. So it's definitely trying to pick up on the the Cold War is the and anime does this where they're going to be in some and they make up fake countries and not official locations, but it's Cold War. Probably it looks 1960s is the I think the time period it seems to fall into from the technology being used, the car styles, the fashion, and so which is nice. It's it a lot. If you saw the Man from Uncle movie that came out a few years ago with Henry Cavill, it's
Which
definitely
was a really good movie, by the way.
it was super underrated, and but it's kind of got that same aesthetic and vibe to it, but done Japanese anime style. So Loid Forger, aka Twilight, is I would categorize him as a Western intelligence agent. If you're gonna do the Cold War, he's from the Western side, and he's been tasked with infiltrating effectively the communist Soviet bloc side, the Eastern side, to prevent a war because there's a the premier, the prime minister, whatever they're giving the title to. This is where they're mixing things up a little bit because they definitely draw the guy to look a little Stalin-esque, but also a little Hitler-esque. So they're mixing it a little bit, but to infiltrate and get close to this person so he can prevent him from taking what is effectively the Soviet bloc to war with the Western powers. And the way he has to infiltrate and get close to this leader is by getting a child, faking having a family so he can put a child into the school that so that his child can go to school with the prime minister's child and use that as a way to get close to the person. It's
I mean, the main guy, he almost looks like a young version of Karl Marx,
yeah,
who,
I see.
ironically, was a German philosopher.
Yeah, I could see that. There's definitely a lot of mix in the character design for him. But Loid, so Loid goes and he is part of this mission because he's the best agent that the Western powers have. He has to recruit a family, a spy family, if you will. And the family he's recruiting doesn't know that that's why they're being his family. Anya, who's the little girl, is the first one who joins his family. He adopts her.
I
She's an
mean,
orphan.
technically, she knows.
And that's forget, yeah, because what he doesn't know is that Anya is a telepath who can read minds. And what's adorable about Anya is she reads minds, and so she knows what's going on, but she makes a mess of it when she tries to help people constantly, because she's very ineffective at actually executing things. I mean, she's only supposed to be like 6 or 7, so it makes sense, but it's fun. She's a super wholesome character, probably the most wholesome character that's been in anime in God knows how long. Because anime has this problem where they do have a trope that they where they sometimes try to make young girls fan servicey. So they don't do that at all with this one. This is a nice family friendly slice of life show. So he adopts Anya into his family, and then he realizes that he needs a wife to complete the family unit, and so he finds Yor, who is the in the picture here on the screen, the spouse figure. What he doesn't know about Yor is that she's actually the best assassin in the country. So she's constantly like moonlighting, killing people for money, and Anya knows this because she's a telepath again. So she just thinks they're the most interesting, fun, cool parents ever because she's obsessed with spy shows on television. So I believe this name of the show is Bond Man on Spy Family, which is clearly a reference to James Bond. And so she thinks of her new dad as Bond Man, a spy, and her new mom, is basically an assassin, and so she thinks that's awesome. what's great about Yor, who is the mother assassin character, is that she's just trying to be a good regular person to blend in, but she can't help but try to solve problems the way she knows how as an assassin, which leads to comedy. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, and she has a bit of a drinking problem.
Well, it's not as much as a problem as much as if she drinks, she gets drunk and just like my favorite part is that she doesn't realize like she there's an episode where she's supposed to be pretending to be a bad guy to fight the dad who's pretending to be Bond man for Anya's entertainment. But because she's had so many drinks, she doesn't know to pull punches and she's just really trying to kill him.
Yeah, she doesn't know how to hold back, and I think the only thing that happened there was he was saved by a broken heel.
Exactly, because it caused her to fall over, which was fun.
And
It
then she
was
fell asleep.
because she passed out. It was it was it was really just I can't just thinking about watching the show because I watched it with my wife. She doesn't always watch anime, but she really enjoyed this one. It just was fun and entertaining. It had comedy and it was good comedy. It was physical humor that translates whether there's language or not. But it was also just the character design is excellent because Anya's drawn adorably, acts adorable, has good mannerisms that are very cute and like the best child actors have when you're watching movies or TV shows with them. And the parents Yor and Loid are also designed very well. I think what would be a good because you can see Loid on the screen. He's got the look of a Hollywood like secret agent type. Yor is a very attractive character design, but also dresses down into a good design for a mom. It's a really good combination on both sides.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I mean, each of the characters is very unique. They don't have any overlap. They each have their strengths and their weaknesses, and each of them those strengths complement the weaknesses of the other characters. Um, no one character is the be all end all that's solving all the problems and winning all the day, but and like even as far as like Anya goes, like she is the linchpin of the whole plan because the whole idea is in order to get close to the bad guy, uh, they have to get into this super elite school, and Anya has to. What does she have to become like a super scholar or some crap?
So they have yeah, basically an elite like scholar, and to do that you have to get seven basically special awards, 7 stars from people at the school. What do they call them? Like I forget. There's a name. They have a specific name for them, but she's got to get 7 of them. But you
There's
can
the
also
stars and the bolts.
yeah, yeah. You can also get a bolt, which is like a demerit. And if you get a demerit, if you get like 7 of those, you get kicked out of the school. So, and she is, and most of these are going to come through academic excellence. They're like any other school. You can get them for academic excellence. You can get them for sporting excellence. And the thing is, she's terrible at all of those things. Like she's a telepath. They
The
do.
dodgeball.
Yeah, they do a part where she's a telepath, and so she's trying to ace the test by reading minds to get at the answers, but she reads the minds of like the worst kid in class, like academically, so she gets even worse answers than them. It's and then she tries to do one through physical sports, which is dodgeball, and she's getting coached by Yor, who's her, her adoptive mother, who's teaching her like she's on, like going out there to kill people. And so she's got what she calls her super special move, and it's a hilarious scene because it just fails so miserably, and she gets destroyed, and even in dodgeball.
Yeah, meanwhile, Yor is knocking down trees with the dodgeball in the training montage.
Yeah, and it was a very Shonen Jump kind of montage where it's the training to level you up to get your super skill to be able to use in battle. And they do it over one episode. If you're looking at the episode guide that you see on screen, it's episode, I think.
It was pretty late. Oh, they're called Stella Stars. There it is.
Yep, Stella. Yeah, it was episode, I think. Yep, no, episode 10
Yeah,
here, the Great
10.
Dodgeball. So, and that was, and what's hilarious is she ends up having, like, on the opposing team, one of the other kids is like some genetic freak who's like 7 feet tall, and he's only like a 7-year-old,
Yeah, the general's son.
and he's built like a tank. It's crazy.
What do they call him? A super early bloomer.
Yeah. And so this kid's playing dodgeball with the other kids, and he's just wrecking them. He's just throwing the dodgeball and just crushing them left and right. And there's nothing they can do about it. And this is who Anya is supposed to be, dealing with.
There is a really funny part to that though when he starts trying to target Anya and she's reading his mind.
So yeah, she's dodging, and it's just so funny. I
It's
mean, I
good.
can't. We kind of gush about it because it's anime, especially original anime, is always kind of a crapshoot. And my favorite genre, which we talked about before, is isekai. But something like this actually is just fun. A lot of the isekai shows I wouldn't really think my wife would enjoy or we'd be able to watch together because they mix in so many fan service elements that it just sometimes turns her off from watching it. She doesn't want to watch those things.
Well, and don't get me wrong, I like a lot of isekai too, but of all the genres in anime, isekai may be the most formulaic.
That is definitely true. Especially sometimes I feel like they even use cut and paste to put the same village design right into the isekai worlds.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have the overpowered protagonist in a lot of isekais. There's the overpowered protagonist, there's the strange new world, and there's the harem of chicks that somehow all gather to him.
Yeah, you've nailed a lot of the tropes right there.
Like, yeah, half of them. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm a slice of life guy, and those can get pretty formulaic too. They almost always take place in a school.
Yeah, which this one does too. It has a school and a whole academic life vibe to it. So you can't. What I like about this one is it's mixing so many genres in the slice of life part, but it also has these spy and action elements that work their way in decently, consistently to bring entertaining, I guess, breaks, if you will, from the slice of life part. Loid Twilight, as he's known, goes on missions. They give him, even though he's got this crazy, difficult, massively important mission, the agency he works for will still give him side missions because that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to give him side missions even though he's supposed to be on the main mission to prevent World War III. But you can still try to go find the stolen artwork or go repossess some of these other things, and so it makes
Oh
for
yeah, all
nice
the
action
side
breaks.
jobs that they give him with Frankie.
Yeah, who is a nice traditional anime character design for the friend.
I do like Frankie though. Frankie is a cool character.
Yeah, he's a facilitator. He doesn't mind spending the money. He doesn't mind taking a piece of the stolen artwork for himself. Which Lloyd actually signs off on, as part of the agreement for him helping with these jobs on such short notice.
Yeah,
So fun.
it's really good. I mean, there's no denying that, and I'm excited for season 2.
Yeah, so in terms of the episode breakdown, you can see from the titles, we've got when he gets the operation and has to adopt Anya. The next real he has to realize he needs to secure a wife, prepare for the interview. Will they get in? Friendship, making friends with the kids, countering it, all that stuff up. My favorite, I think, episode was it. Where's the one where they actually have their celebration? Because was it? It was around episode 5 or 6 when they actually get into the school.
Yeah, it was
And
pretty early.
yeah, I think it's episode 5 where they get into the school, and so they organize the celebration. So they get basically they rent Disneyland on his spy expense account to and this in this world the Disneyland is built around the character Bond man, James Bond, who's a secret agent. And so they rent the theme park to allow Anya to live out her dream of being in a Bond man episode with Loid as Bond man, Frankie as the villain who's kidnapped her, and they recruit all the agents that are in undercover work throughout what is effectively East Germany, and they pull them to act as the thugs
The henchman.
and the henchmen for Frankie's character who has kidnapped him, for Loid to try to beat. He's got to basically almost like Kill Bill. He's got to work his way through these 100 henchmen to get to the level at the top of the castle, and he does, and it's a really fun, exciting thing. And he's doing this all for the entertainment of his daughter after she successfully makes it into the super prestigious academy, which was the linchpin to his plan actually working.
Dude, I love the description they have for him on the fandom. Frankie is usually tasked with babysitting Anya whenever Loid and Yor are unavailable, and acts like a sort of fun uncle. He often serves as her partner in crime and goes along with her schemes, especially if it is at Lloyd's expense.
Yeah, and so it's a running gag that Loid is turning in his expense receipts to the agency, and they're just like shocked at how much money he's spending to try to keep up, or that Frankie has managed to get him to spend for all these different things.
Yeah, but then his handler is always like, "Listen, it's for the sake of the world." And they end up paying it. So
Yeah, and then they give him a lecture like the expense account is not unlimited. You can't just spend
I don't
unlimited
think they
amounts of
found the
money.
bottom of it yet. So
No, it's funny. It's good. So that's yeah. So the first core is 12 episodes. They're all available English dubbed. They're really great. We've kind of gone through what they do in those episodes. Now, the real star, the draw, the person who made the memes that drove this into really Twitter fame is Anya. She's the character that really, I think, got this to the next level. What do you think?
I'd agree.
Yeah, because it's just an adorable character design. They gave her hilarious mannerisms. The the story conceit that she's a telepath and is able to read minds, but makes such a mess of things when they try to, when she tries to actually act on the things she's finding out by reading minds. It's funny. So and that's where I think that she's the character that really makes this show go to the next level. I mean, Lloyd and Yor are also really good character designs, but I think Anya's is the one that was so perfect, and the character is just so right on for just a wholesome, fun family show that's what really makes it great.
Yeah, and I mean the artwork on it is pretty on point, especially for um how endearing the character is.
I do think that, and this is something that comes up, and I just gushed about Anya, but I do think that if they didn't have a top tier waifu candidate, it does usually hold back animes from going that next level. And even though she's not doing anything groundbreaking from character design standpoint, Yor, I think, definitely qualifies into that top tier waifu echelon.
Oh, I don't know. In that scene where they were grocery shopping and those dudes tried to kidnap Anya, that was pretty phenomenal.
That's true. She did, like, like, you're not gonna. I am the mother, and you will not take my child.
Yeah, she might have killed them if that was a different situation. I am curious to see, though, because I have to imagine the skills come into play later. But like, we got a good groundwork kind of laid out in the first core there. I'm curious to see how it escalates in the second core, because like all the groundwork has been laid out. We're there. Now it needs to escalate, and I hope they pull it off. I hope it escalates well.
Yeah, I mean, I think now you most of the first arc was getting Anya into the school and getting her established. She's got the relationships. Um, she's got her little best friend. She's got her own Tsundere boy, who's, I think, which is a nice twist on the trope right there. I think, which is funny because this is actually the younger son of the premier prime minister, whoever, that the Twilight slash Loid is trying to use Anya to be able to build a relationship with and get access to. And she screwed, like, on the backup plan that Loid was thinking about was Anya making friends with this person so that they can try to, even if they don't get the high level recognition through the Stellas, that they'll still be able to maybe execute the mission that way. And on day one, she, like, gets, like, punches this kid out in the face, but it actually makes him love her because she's the only girl who stood up to him. And so he's acting like a tsundere, I think,
Oh
to
yeah,
her.
he's very tsundere.
So he's, like, constantly, like, putting her down and trying to do that, but in secret it's because he's actually in love with her already. It's hilarious. And he's got his little his own, like, mini henchmen that travel with him. It reminds me of in Harry Potter, Draco Malfoy always had those two guys. Oh, where's Ashton right now to be able to tell me what their names were?
Yeah, I do hate the henchmen though. The art style that was used to draw those two kids that follow him around, I hate it. I hate it. The one with the freaking oblong egg-shaped head, and I'm just like, ah.
It reminds me a lot of, was it Mob Psycho 100?
Yeah, I didn't like the art style in that either. I hear it's a great anime, but if the art style is too out there, I just can't get into it because I guess like there's a level of immersion that is lost because you're looking at shit that just doesn't equate in your head as being right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's sometimes the character designs can be too out of whack.
Yeah,
It's I
they're
think it
jarring.
yeah, I think it's a strain of the uncanny valley. If it just looks, now, if everybody was designed that way, you can sort of go with it because then it becomes the way the world is designed. but not every but most people are not designed that way, so that doesn't make it doesn't hold up, it doesn't work. So I agree. I think they're doing it to make it a more comedic tone, like clearly. But
Yeah, and I almost think that there is a goal there to separate out the school life into kind of its own little vignette within the series.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think the school life definitely had takes on its own character
Yeah.
from the other stuff because it starts shifting to a I don't want to say standard, but something where people who've watched school like the animes that are school life anime slice of lives are going to feel very comfortable with the setting and what's going on and enjoy it. Because we do have to remember that these things are based on mangas and that are selling in Japan primarily. They're meant for the Japanese audience. They sell really well across the world, but the creators for them are using domestic tropes for consumption. So it's going to have the normal Japanese school life tropes, even though this is supposed to be set in a European nation in the Cold War. I mean, you could if
Yeah, I
you
mean one of the tropes would be Henry Henderson, the housemaster guy.
so what is it he kept saying?
Yeah, elegant.
So elegant, so elegant.
Yeah. And I loved when they tried to trap Lloyd and Yor during the family interviews, where they made his jacket muddy or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, there's no elegance now. He'll have to leave and go put on a new suit if he wishes to continue the interview." And he just had an extra suit with him.
No, and they did it like it happened like three times, and each time it was a more elegant state of dress.
Yep.
Like it went from just they were wearing regular work level clothes, which weren't elegant, and then their change was really nice, like business attire, which made them look even more elegant.
And
And
I think
then
in the last one, like he had a tailcoat and a top hat or
yeah,
something.
and then she switched to like an evening gown, and it was like, oh my gosh, so elegant. He was like, he was having Food Wars levels breakdowns at the elegance of it all.
Yeah, the admissions process was a pretty good arc in and of itself in that first core as well because um, it wasn't too absurd and it did a good job of balancing comedy against seeing that family bond continue to grow. Because I don't think they realize it yet, but they're a family. They've become a family.
Yeah, I think that, and then even what's hilarious. All right, so they're a family, and Lloyd and Yor are both actually very attracted to one another. But it's a Japanese, anime thing, so they're going to try to keep them from ever even acknowledging their feelings. But she has, and
No,
this
you
is
gotta save that for the big reveal at the end. It's the classic will they won't they trope.
but what's great is like a lot of other anime tropes, Yor has a brother who's very, very close to his sister emotionally.
I mean, Yor has a brother who's basically in the SS. Like,
Yeah, he's head of the Stasi, like the secret police,
yeah.
and but he's also in like clearly anime style loves his sister, like really loves his sister. Like if you watch enough anime, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, I don't think it's in too creepy a way, but he is definitely he is obsessed with her,
Yeah,
but
it's
not in like a
it's I
gross
guess
way.
I guess it's not quite. There's some other animes that really.
There are some animes that push the boundaries of that way beyond what happened in this anime.
What
I
was
just
there
think
was
he's
one that
obsessed.
or even they put it in the title where it was like something with your little sister, and it was like, wow, they're just really putting that out there.
Yeah.
But it's what they do. So yeah, so her brother who's the best agent in the Stasi level style secret police, who would be tasked and whose real core mission is to try to hunt down Twilight, who's the best agent the other people have, not knowing that it's Loid, is like coming over to dinner, and his job is to try to root out spies, and he's constantly got a reason to be in their business. So Loid is trying his best to really show that this isn't some kind of fake thing. And of course, just like her sister, he has issues with holding his alcohol very well, which leads to some hilarity, physical humor, all the good stuff. Like, this show was probably up there with Konosuba for actually making me laugh in the episodes. And part of that's because when you're doing comedy shows, there's a lot of cultural things that go into comedy. It's very common where comedians count on you having a shared cultural experience for their jokes to land. And then there's physical comedy, which is supposed to just be based on the physical part. But this show was actually doing comedy on both fronts and making me laugh in a lot of ways the way Konosuba did, which is my gold standard for comedic anime in terms of actually making me laugh out loud.
I'll give you that. That tracks with your anime preferences. I would say the gold standard for making me laugh out loud was probably Ouran High School Host Club.
Yeah, that one I guess has a really solid reputation too. But come on, is there anything in Ouran that's as good as when they keep calling Aqua useless and she gets eaten by a giant frog, and her legs are like hanging out of there and she's crying about it?
There definitely is. um, not to that extreme because it's a slice of life anime, so it's a little more grounded in our own world. But when they find out that Haruhi drinks commoner coffee, and all the rich people are amazed that it's instant, they'd never seen anything like it, and then the main dude with the host club announces that he's going to drink the commoner coffee, and all the other nobles clap for him because he's so brave. There's a lot of absurdity like that it definitely makes me laugh out loud.
Oh. Yeah, I could see that. I have to really get on watching that one. I think, was that one of the ones you were going to have me watch?
It's definitely in one of the chambers. If we were to be playing Russian roulette with which slice of life I was going to make you watch next.
Nice.
The problem is I've watched a lot of animes over the last few months, so yeah, I have a lot that I want to make you watch.
Look, I'm still a winner because I'm the one who got you to watch Overlord. Now you're really happy with that choice.
Dude, Overlord is one of the ones that, like, I'm not even binging it. I'm just every week jumping in. Like, I gotta see the next episode. I gotta see the next episode. And seasons 1 and 2 were pretty good. Season 3 was freaking awesome. And season 4 is not disappointing. So, yeah, Overlord is, it might be my favorite isekai at this point.
Yeah, I like,
season 2 of Shield Hero kind of let me down.
I think season 2 of Shield Hero tried to speed run through some world building elements that were important for their later arcs. And that didn't serve it very well. Because, it's pretty, in the Shield Hero community, I guess the Spirit Tortoise arc is not considered a very well written or well regarded arc, but the groundwork the Spirit Tortoise arc lays is so important for what happens later in Shield Hero. You can't really skip it. So they effectively did a Mario speed run through that arc, and it just went so fast that I think it all the things that people didn't like about the Spirit Tortoise arc that probably still wouldn't have liked when it was if it was done really well, the as it was written, were just exacerbated when you try to like truncate that down to get through it so fast. And then by the time you're on the other world trying to get through that, hunting down the person who had taken over the Spirit Tortoise, even though it's so related to the Spirit Tortoise, it's still kind of tainted by the speed run, because the reason you're supposed to take that so personal was because of the death of the Spirit Tortoise's familiar. But that was so glossed over that you don't really, at least I didn't really feel like it really hit emotionally the way that they seemed to think it did.
Yeah, nothing like nothing really did, because it just I, there wasn't enough time developing the characters for me to care. Like
Which is one of the things that Spy Family does really well. Every character, even Frankie, who's a side character, comes across so three-dimensionally. Like, you get who Frankie is, even though he's only in a few scenes here and there. He seems like a real person would be in that role. Like, these all, even though they're very heightened kind of personalities, with Yor being an assassin and Twilight being a spy.
even with Henry, he's goofy. He's always so elegant, but they give him those moments of character that like really make him stand out. Like when he just hauls off and decks that other guy.
Because they give you enough to where you're putting together what his character's all about, which is he's wrapped up in the prestige of this school, and how, and the actual mission of it being a real thing, which is our school will prepare the next generation to lead our country. And because our school takes so seriously its academic and obligations, these people will be genuinely good leaders and be genuinely good for our country. You can kind of get that feel, like that's where all that pride and commitment is coming from when he talks about the importance of being elegant. It's those little things where it's not just some cheeky line that he keeps going. You really feel the weight of why he's doing it and what he's all about.
Yeah, and like you said, the three-dimensional characters. I would say we didn't get a whole lot of Lloyd's handler. I forget what her name is. It's looking it up here. Sylvia Sherwood. Like, we
she
don't
was
get
in
a lot
like
of her.
I think 2 scenes really.
Yeah, and so like those characters are still a little two-dimensional, but like I wouldn't be surprised if, as the story progresses, even those ones, kind of round out and become more three-dimensional characters.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of room for her. I feel like her character is going to have more to do, especially as the show goes on, and this, I'm sure the mission's going to evolve and require more things from that. I am looking forward to eventually. I hope, I don't know. I'm an anime only on this one, which is sometimes there's shows where I've
Oh, really?
read
Here,
ahead.
I thought you were going to come into this and be like, well, in the mangas, this and this and this have already happened, and
No, that would be ReZero. I'd be like, all right, by arc 7, arc 6, and or My Hero Academia is like, once you get to the villain. No, like, although I think My Hero Academia is actually wrapping up on the manga so that they can finish hopefully strong with their anime.
Yeah, and they really need to, because I have enjoyed a lot of My Hero Academia, but I fear that My Hero Academia will go the route of your, you know, Naruto or your Bleach or your, I think Inuyasha was another culprit. It's like, listen, okay, after 100 or so episodes, you done run out of story, and now you're just trying to squeeze blood from the stone.
Yeah, that's why I really loved Cobra Kai. Came out this last, the new season came out, season 5
Yeah, yeah.
on Netflix, and it was fantastic. I
Uh,
really enjoyed it. Did you watch it yet?
Yeah, I
Or
finished it.
and
Um,
and you can see that they are escalating each season, and I think they've given themselves one more step they can rationally take, and then I think that's where the show, I think they are
I mean,
going
I
to.
feel like the show could have ended this season.
Well, I think part of that is because Netflix is notorious about not giving shows more than 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So one thing about Cobra Kai that people forget is that it was originally a YouTube Red
Yeah,
show.
it was a
When
YouTube original.
Yeah, and even the third season, which ended up premiering on Netflix, was made by YouTube. Like YouTube financed it. So only season 4 and season 5 have actually been Netflix paid for productions.
All right. Well, I think we've covered Spy X Family. Do you want to discuss Cobra Kai as our free play topic?
I think that's a good. Let me let me find a nice.
Because I will say this season was very good. I do have some problems with it.
Let me see. Um, Gotta find this here.
You trying to find a good picture to put up?
Yeah. Let's see. Cobra Kai. Oh, there's a good one. Let me make sure it seems good enough. Yep. Let's do that. All right. There we go.
Well, that's not the season we watched, was it?
Season 5. That's the newest one.
Oh, that was season 5.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I
mean,
lost track. Eh, some seasons were better than others, but I do think season 5 was one of the better seasons.
all right. So you know why I think this one's season was even better? His one name, Chosen. Chosen was hilarious. I think he's actually slipped into more of a Mr. Miyagi role than even Daniel.
Oh yeah, he did. He definitely did.
I love the idea because Karate Kid 2 was awesome. I just still go back and you can watch it and it's just good times. And I actually like Karate Kid 2 more than the first Karate Kid, just because it seems like I don't know, it seems like a better story than the first movie. The first movie had the normal like teenage arc, but this one had more with Mr. Miyagi going home to his village and having the his own drama and struggle. Daniel and Kamiko, Daniel and Chosen being rivals. I think Karate Kid 2 was actually the best of the first 3 movies.
Hmm.
Although I will say, obviously, Terry Silver, and this is probably the right call for, and a lot of people agree, Terry Silver was the best villain out of the first 3 movies because he was just like the most sleazy villainous guy. I mean, Johnny was a high school bully. Crease at the time, in the first movie was bad, but
I mean, Johnny was the good guy.
oh, you're gonna go with one of those arguments.
I mean, here's the thing. I always thought that Danny LaRusso was the good guy. And then I heard the explanation and was like, no, no. Danny was a little asshole and Johnny was the good guy in this particular exchange.
All right, look, it's
You keep that in mind. You keep that explanation in mind, and go back and
I've
watch the first one and
no,
tell me if
I've
Danny
seen
LaRusso was a
I've
little
seen that
asshole
like
that
I've
escalated.
everybody's seen that like multi-million view YouTube video about how Daniel was the real bully and getting in the way of Johnny's just trying to be a good guy for his
I don't
last
think
year in
Danny
his
was the real bully. I think Danny escalated. He escalated every time. And Johnny almost always was acting in response to something Danny did.
I mean, yeah, maybe, but I still, Johnny was a jerk.
You like rooting for the underdog. I get it. But I feel like Johnny's responses were always justified.
Yeah, like when he was just gonna beat the crap out of him with his friends, just because he sprayed a little water on him. Come on.
I mean, this was after they had already had a couple of exchanges, so it was it's time to send a message. But that's beyond the point. We're talking about Cobra Kai. We're getting we're getting off track.
All right, so Cobra Kai season 5. It's available on Netflix. You can binge it. You don't have to wait for multiple episodes to be released. Fun times, good stuff. This season was really good. It picked up, if you forgot, for season 4, Kreese was sent to jail. Terry Silver had taken over Cobra Kai. Tori, who is the blonde Cobra Kai bad girl, won the female All Valley competition, and Hawk, who had now joined Miyagi Do, Miyagi Fang, whichever thing you want to call it, is the male champion. But you find out that Terry Silver had bribed the judge so that Tori would beat Daniel LaRusso's daughter. By the way, who is the worst and most annoying character in Cobra Kai is her.
Which one?
Samantha. Sam LaRusso. She is the root cause. If you want to talk about,
I can't say you're wrong.
Like every terrible
thing.
decision she's made throughout all of the seasons leads to all the bad things that happen.
I mean, Samantha's probably the worst, but she gets it honest because I find Amanda LaRusso to be an equally infuriating character.
Oh, what's wrong with her? She's actually pretty solid.
Her getting all pissed off this season about Danny LaRusso's obsession, and she just wants to be sipping Mai Tais next to the pool, and it's like, this is so out of character for you based on everything you've seen in the prior seasons.
No, it's not actually, because remember, in all the prior seasons, she's constantly wanting them to stop with this karate obsession. You're just making things worse. Think about season 4 at the end, when she talks to Tori right before the final with her daughter, where she's like, look, you can win, she can win, I'm going to root for my daughter, but whatever, can we just be done with this after this? Because we should just be done with this.
Right, but the problem is her character makes so many heel turns on that philosophy of hers in this season. Like, one minute she's like, stop it, just stop, and the next minute she's like, do it, and then she's like, oh no, wait, Silva's not so bad, stop, and then she's like, yeah, we gotta kick his ass, let's call the cops. Like, she can't make up her fucking mind in this season. So I find her equally infuriating in a lot of ways, but I think this season, a lot of the heel turns in the writing up until this season, I just found her infuriating because I don't like her as a person. So
it's because you think that Daniel should have been with was it
literally anybody but her. Like, the actress playing her, I don't necessarily have a problem with. I don't know that woman. I don't care. But she does an excellent job of portraying a rich yuppie Karen that I would not want to be around.
Yeah, and I think that is her character. But Samantha LaRusso is like, going back to season 1 when her and her friends joyrode on the car.
Yeah, she is the root cause of most of the problems. Tori doesn't help, but Tori is a lot better, I think, overall this season. Tyler Park, that asshole, I hate him too. He's a terrible character. There are a
Which one?
lot of characters that either, and I mean, Kyler is supposed to be a one-dimensional cardboard cutout character. There's a few of them. Moon, same kind of thing. She's just a useless character. Like, there's no depth to those particular characters. They exist only to, be someone for one of the real characters to pretend to interact with in certain scenes. Um, I would say, yeah, you're right. Samantha LaRusso is the worst character. To flip it, surprisingly, and I normally wouldn't say this, I think the best character this season might have been Robbie Keane.
It's Chosen. 100% it's Chosen.
Chosen's not bad. Chosen's up there. I'll put him at top 3. That's for sure. But and I'm kind of taking the adults out of it and talking more about the kids.
Okay. All right. If we want to talk about the kids, I actually, from a performance standpoint, is it Kenny, his name? Who's the,
Oh yeah, he's the character I hated the most this season.
but he was meant, like, I feel
You're
like it was.
supposed to. The kid did a great job.
Yeah, I think that's what and you could see, I think, like, I thought his performance was really good, especially anytime he was on screen with Robbie.
Yeah.
Just because he was really palpably acting that sense of betrayal that he felt, that
Yeah.
Robbie had abandoned him. And given the backstory for the character, where his father was in the military and was getting deployed all the time, and his older brother was now moved into juvie because he had gotten into trouble, you could definitely tell that they were going to try to put an undercurrent of abandonment into his life. And I think that's actually one of the things that you can see that I think Cobra Kai does really well is they're trying to show the destruction that can happen from parental abandonment. Because they're going, if they went back all the way to Karate Kid 1 and they showed you that the reason Johnny was the way he was because of parental abandonment. Like, his father had abandoned them, then his mother ended up passing away.
This is an interesting thing, but like Johnny and Danny are two sides of that same coin too, because Johnny is the dad who just left, and Danny is the dad who he's there, but he's not really there. He's so caught up in his own shit that he's really not doing a whole lot of parenting, which I think in the earlier seasons is demonstrated best by Anthony LaRusso, who just is always in the computers doing his own thing. And yeah, Danny's there, but he's not getting engaged. He's not doing anything with him. He's him and I think Amanda both are just the detached parents, the ones who aren't really doing any parenting.
Which is interesting because I think you're right, because when they go back, and you can see this in the way that the writers, I at least this is what I get from it, when they were showing how Samantha had been around enough years where she had interactions with Mr. Miyagi, and Daniel still had Mr. Miyagi at those times, and the way she talks about how she grew up was very different than what happened once. I think what they're clearly trying to show is that when Mr. Miyagi died, it kind of put Daniel into a rudderless position again.
Yeah, it seems like he kind of just knuckled down, focused on the dealership, and wasn't doing a whole lot else. Like,
which is why there's a difference between the early years Samantha versus, because she had that core, which is why she had karate and could do those things, versus what she became, which was a vapid teenager girl doing bad behavior, which was season 1. And Anthony in the early seasons was the same way, where he was just, a jerk about everything. He ordered like an Uber guy to come and wax on, wax off the cars. Like, it's like, it's hilarious. But
yeah, I would definitely, like, going all the way back to the beginning of your assertions, though. I will agree with you that Samantha is probably I don't think there was any character development with her, to be honest. Like they tried to
this,
show
yeah.
her character developing a couple of times, but she always regressed.
I think Tori definitely had more character development than Samantha did.
Oh yeah, I mean Tori was. I didn't hate her by the end of it. I thought okay, she's learned, she's grown. But Samantha, it's like you're the same person. Like and it's really demonstrated when Tori tells her the big secret about the match. And what does she do? She immediately just starts trying to fight again. It's like, Sam, how many of these fights are you going to be the one that starts it? But thank goodness, Robbie and Miguel grew up a little, because what did they do after that? They both looked at each other and they were like, "Do you have any idea what the hell's going on?" No, man, I didn't know anything.
Well, I love the way Johnny did solve the problem in a very Johnny way, which is like, you know what, we just need to fight it out. Like,
Yeah, get it out of your sit. I, I mean, you're my age. Isn't that how we handled our shit out in the school? Like,
occasionally, yeah.
I don't think
Like,
we ever had giant karate battles that destroyed half the school and broke kids' backs or anything. But yeah, like two kids had a problem in the playground. They had a quick fist fight, and that was the end of it. Usually, they were playing together again the next day.
I do like how Johnny's solution was to let them fight, and then he got really worried because they moved to the upper level and they were fighting around a railing again, and you could just see that it was like, oh crap, one of these kids is going over the over the rail. I need to get up there and actually stop it now. It's like, which is, and it's nice because I think both Robbie and Miguel both had issues with each other stemming from both of their relationships with Johnny and their jealousy of him, which is like what I like about one of the core themes that I think Cobra Kai really hits home that a lot of shows don't. And it's going to seem, kind of funny, but I think most people who watch it see is fathers and father figures, right? Karate Kid has always been, going back to the first movie, about a kid who needed a father to help him grow and be successful. Daniel moved with his single mother all the way out to the valley from New Jersey. He had, again, was rudderless, and he got Mr. Miyagi, who ended up becoming his father figure, and as you can see through Cobra Kai, the most influential person in his life for his entire life, to the point where he's still just like beholden to the lessons he learned to this day. Johnny didn't have a father, made the same mistakes, and his growth arc, which I think really came to fruition in season 5, was recognizing I was a bad dad. I need to make up for that with both my kids. In this case, Robbie, who's his actual son, and Miguel, who I think will effectively become his stepson, but was his adopted son the way Mr. Miyagi had adopted Daniel in that mentor role, and needed to bridge and fix the relationships he had with both of them as a father figure. John Kreese had, I mean, his, the arc they're giving him is how his weakness is Johnny, because Kreese views him as a son, and the rejection of Kreese by Johnny hurts him to his core. There's a lot of just variations on the themes of absentee fathers and the damage it does. I mean, Tori's character clearly is in a fatherless home with a sick mother. Every character who's kind of has these problems, you can see that and sometimes people might think that it's kind of silly for the writers to keep falling back on that, but I love that because that's been the theme of Karate Kid since day one when the first movie came out.
Agree. Now we've done a lot of gushing, and I agree that it's a pretty kick-ass season, but there are some flaws, some problems I have with it. So I'd like to start with those.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things that won't hold up to scrutiny. Like, for instance, why is Terry Silver getting arrested in the last episode? I still don't know.
I would assume because he.
They do a throwaway line about how since Stingray changed his story, that they would be arresting Terry Silver, and I was like, but if Stingray had basically admitted to perjury, it's not something you can immediately arrest the guy for because he
Yeah.
becomes a
Well, and the throwaway
non-trustworthy
is
witness.
that he made that testimony under duress.
Yeah,
It's like I don't know if duress applies in this situation, but
exactly.
that's but on that one I can kind of suspend my disbelief. I have some actual issues with the writing itself. That I felt like there were things that were wrong in this season. One, the whole reason to keep Tori Nichols in Cobra Kai when she didn't want to be in Cobra Kai was John Kreese. John Kreese was the character they didn't know what to do with this season. Like they really I don't think they knew what to do with him, and his arc was fucking stupid and ridiculous. And I think the only reason they even put the arc in there was so that they could use him as the MacGuffin to keep Tori in Cobra Kai when Tori had no reason to continue to be in Cobra Kai. Um, that whole dynamic was a mess. The thing at the end with Kreese, you know, doing the big breakout or whatever, that was stupid. It was it was sloppy. It was messy. It didn't make sense. Um, and then and this is probably my biggest issue with it, even though story wise, I guess it's a little less of an issue, but the the female martial artist from Korea that Silver hired was
That was
basically a fucking Bond villain. Like she didn't fit in the world at all.
yeah. I actually, and more than once was because I was watching it with my wife. It was like that she went to the villain school of dictation because her tone and the way she delivered every single line.
Yes. No, Mr. Lawrence, I expect you to die.
Yeah, it was like a Bond villain. It was, yeah, it's a little silly.
And her and all her like her lackeys that got brought in. I'm like,
Including the one wearing
I
an eye
get that you're
patch.
trying to make this bigger and more.
Did you appreciate the guy in the eye patch? Because I was like, really? They even have a guy in an eye patch?
They even had a guy in an eye patch. It was absurd. It was absurd, and it didn't fit. Like it was so jarring to bring them in, and it didn't. That'd be my biggest issue. Like I get that you're trying to make Terry Silver more of a threat, more imposing. He's the bigger problem. He's bigger and more dangerous than any of the previous villains that had to be dealt with from season to season. But like, you went full retard, you know.
Yep. I know what you mean.
I didn't like that. I mean, the fights were good. The martial arts, the choreography, all that was cool. I even kind of liked this little side arc at the end where they brought in Stingray for one last hurrah, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, because like I'm not willing to beat up kids. Hold on, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like I'm an adult who's willing to beat up kids. Let me go ahead and do this.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I would say my biggest issue was I felt the Kreese arc that they did this season was extremely weak, not well written, not well thought out, didn't make a whole lot of sense. Um, the the Tory thing, it worked because of the Kreese arc, but still, like, didn't seem all that convincing to me, I guess. And then, like I said, I guess the character's name is Kim Daeun, and
Yeah, she's supposed to be the daughter of the master that they went and trained under in Korea.
yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily her fault or the direction that she received, but worst actor on the set.
I think they were going for a kind of a old like Japanese samurai movie villain vibe.
Yeah, it was terrible. It didn't fit with the rest of the what was going on. And then the only other, and this is a minor complaint I have, the only other issue I have is usually whenever one of the kids just is doing truly horrible things, they get a bit of a comeuppance, and I don't feel like Kenny ever got his comeuppance.
because yeah, Kenny went way too far in terms of his revenge. He became the bully. I think that there's hopefully going to be a redemption arc. The question is for next season, right? If they do, because they still haven't announced season 6, but assuming they do season 6, it looks like the storyline is going to be the world tournament, where magically these two dojos will be the ones in the finals of the world tournament.
Well, the scariest part of that is if that is the direction it goes, it's probably going to be Kim as the main big bad because, well, Silver's in prison now, so doesn't she take over the whole dojo?
She would, but here's the thing: if you remember the flashbacks that they did when they Silver and Kreese were training at Kim's father's, place, Kreese and her seemed to have a warm relationship with her as a child. Remember?
Oh, so you think Kreese is going to come back and be the big bad again?
I think Kreese is going to work with her.
I hope not. This is the other thing that annoyed me about the Kreese arc. They set him up for redemption at the end of season 4. And then they just, I don't know, scrapped it. They just scrapped it or something.
No, I think the redemption arc is going to be Kreese doing some kind of sacrifice for Johnny and dying.
Maybe.
In fact, I think it's going to be saving him from Silver. Because I think Silver will get out.
You think Silver's going to get off on some sort of a...
Yeah, I think that clearly, honestly, look, let's logistically, let's look at the charges they're going to level against him. They're going to say that he was the one responsible for assaulting Stingray, which Stingray has now changed his story under oath that he gave testimony.
Yeah, he's not a reliable witness.
And then there's no physical evidence of it because he wiped the recording of it. We know that from when they went into the Cobra Kai office and hacked the videos.
Yeah.
So there's not really like his lawyers will be able to, because remember he's a millionaire, possibly billionaire.
Yeah.
His lawyers will eviscerate that, and they're not going to. Remember, Kreese couldn't get a lawyer, so he was complaining about like if he had a lawyer, he would have been fine. So Silver gets out of that one. What other charge? Like, here's the other thing that happened that night. Mike Barnes, Daniel LaRusso, and Johnny Lawrence broke into his house with the intent of assaulting him.
Well, Mike Barnes and Johnny Lawrence did.
Yeah, that's right. Daniel wasn't there. And Chosen, who got slashed in the back with the katana. So, I would say that, what he will have is video of them breaking in and trying to beat him up. And then he'll cut off all the rest of it. Because he can. So I think Terry Silver is out. But the issue is going to be he's not, the people of Cobra Kai, the students don't want to listen to him anymore.
Well, and the fact that he was paying off a ref has come to light.
Which, I don't know, is that really something that would, like, how do you prosecute that?
I don't know that can be criminally prosecuted, but it may very well cost him his ability to compete in the tournament.
Yeah, it'll cost Silver, right? And Silver's now going to be a man with nothing to lose. I think I heard some internet theories that Silver, that if you remember, all season 5, he's been talking about legacy. Mm-hmm. That Silver is perhaps terminally ill. Because remember, he was at the hospital when Johnny was there with his girlfriend.
Yeah, and they had no idea why. They figured he was probably selling illegal black market organs or something.
But I think if you put in that he was at the hospital, the constant talk with everybody he was running into about how Cobra Kai was going to be his legacy.
You think he's got some kind of cancer or something?
I think he's got something that's killing him. So he's now a man with nothing to lose at all.
Yeah.
And so
I see the cocaine wasn't bad enough. Put death on the table.
Yeah. So I see the redemption arc for Kreese being he ends up saving Johnny from Silver, making the sacrifice play, dying as a result. Maybe like, you know, that Quicksilver move right to the chest. You know, maybe Kreese takes it and ends up like effing him up, killing him.
I could see that. I could see that.
And then
Although in reality, that's very unlikely to kill you.
Well, yeah, I mean, he talked about it as being a move to just knock the wind out of you.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's a punch to the just below the sternum.
Yep.
I mean, that will knock the fucking wind out of you. But as far as like extra damage, no, it's just gonna take you a minute or two to catch your breath.
Yeah. Bear in mind, this is a guy who's like able to probably break stone the way Tori did.
Well, the other thing, this is something I told my daughter too. I was like, "Do you see the way he's you know stancing up for that? See how he's crossing his arms like that? Never do that in a fight ever. You're never supposed to cross your arms like that because what happens if you cross your arms? Well, someone else can now attack you and control both your arms with one of theirs. Like you never cross your arms."
That I haven't been in enough
Like
professional
if you
fights.
watch professional boxers even fighting, right? And they block up, they turtle up to block those shots. You'll notice they never cross their arms to do it. You just never cross your arms.
Yeah, makes sense to me. But
I mean, I get that they were trying to make it look really cool and be like, "Oh, look," and telegraph the move so we knew what was going to happen and everything. But I'm like, nah, you don't do that. You never do that.
No, I agree. So that's my thought is in where I mean I you're right because I don't see that there's much more for Kreese's character. What they're showing is that Kreese has two people he views as his legacy, as his parenting role, and that's Johnny and Tori. Those are the two he's going to want to take care of, and he's not going to care about anybody else.
Yeah.
I think that they'll probably have a storyline where Kumiko comes back with, you know, for Chosen and they get together, which would be an interesting full circle arc for that story.
Yeah, well, because she'll get the voicemail and then she's gonna show up. She's like, because he wished he'd have taken her with him, right? Isn't that what he said?
Yep.
So she's gonna come out there for him.
And she's gonna see that he's injured, and then they'll have their conversation where he admits that he's loved her their whole lives, and she'll appreciate the man he's become, because remember, she's the one who brought Chosen back to see Daniel in season 3.
Yeah.
Which I thought was some of the best episodes of Cobra Kai was season 3 when he was in Okinawa. Because just for tying back, I loved that they got the actual little girl actress who was the girl up in the tower that he rescued in Karate Kid 2. And they brought her back, and it was her grown up. It was the same actress.
Yeah, I think they did a lot right with that.
I don't know. I'm terribly biased because Karate Kid 2 was the best one, in my opinion. I think Karate Kid 3 was good, but Mike Barnes was a little bit of a cookie cutter like villain. Like it kind of Johnny at least had more motivation for why he was going to do it. Like, because as you said, they had personal beef, whereas Mike Barnes, being the bad boy of karate and at 17 being offered like half of a dojo chain, seemed kind of a weird vibe.
He was a lot more fun in this season.
Yeah, Mike Barnes, like, I did like him. I liked how when they were all drunk in the party van, Mike Barnes, Johnny Lawrence, and Chosen were all like, yeah, let's go kick somebody's butt. And Daniel's like, whoa. Because it's all the bad guys, their first instinct to like, yeah, let's go attack.
Yeah, let's go kick his ass.
Let's go. And Daniel's like, no, that's probably a bad idea to break into his house and do this.
No, he's like, guys, this is stupid. And Chosen's like, yes, it is stupid. And that is why he will never expect it.
Chosen, he's like, I will be gasoline on this fire. I also like when he's like, "Is that a Rembrandt?" In the last episode for Mike Barnes, he's like, "Yeah, I figured it's worth at least as much as my furniture store."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's cool. Grand
Yeah,
theft.
if they can peg that to Terry Silver, because they never really did say what happened there. They left that one really vague.
Yeah, clearly it was Terry Silver.
I mean, it seems like it, yeah. But we never got any confirmation of anything. I
Maybe
don't
it'll
know
be
if
the
that was
bad.
just because it was bad writing or if that was just because
So
they
the
didn't
only
care.
now that brings to mind, the only question is going to be: are the writers going to be somehow able to work in the next Karate Kid into the final season of Cobra Kai and have like Hilary Swank show up?
I don't know if I care.
Yeah, because I did think it was funny when LaRusso's wife's cousin turned out to be Blake Lively's sister, the one who was the girl from Karate Kid 3.
Yeah, yeah.
Which actually is like, that makes perfect sense because now they made it organic for how he met his wife, and that worked. And I did like when they were at the bar and she's like, he's got this problem with this guy Terry Silver, and she's like, whoa, did you say it was Terry Silver? Like, that guy was crazy. Let me tell you about what Terry Silver did to Daniel. Like, I was like, finally, someone who was there can acknowledge that.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I will say my favorite character is still Eli Moskowitz.
Hulk.
Yeah. Like he's honestly I think he's one of the most um what's the word? Consistent characters in the story. Whose growth arc has followed the most natural progression. He had like his own hero's journey throughout the story. And the fact that he won the tournament was pretty awesome. I like this season's really good and I've been enjoying the entire series, but like I was straight cheering when Eli won the tournament. Like and it was probably the only one I gave a shit if he won or not.
Yeah, I did like when Hawk actually did that. I think I like the interactions between him and who's this? What's his Dimitri?
Dimitri?
Yeah, his friend. Like the Dimitri's like, hey, he's like, we're still nerds, right? But even Dimitri is leveled up and can like take on the guys.
Oh yeah, when they faced off against Kyler and he's like it's just Kyler. I'll kick his ass. And Dimitri's like, well, I've never kicked his ass. And he's like, you'll get your chance. Everybody does.
Yeah, because Kyler's the only guy who's not actually leveling up.
Yeah, because he hasn't changed at all.
Which is, I think, which is nice. It shows that like the people who remain static are the ones who become left behind.
Yep, yep. Definitely give it a thumbs up. I think it's worth a watch. As I said, there are the things I have the complaints about, but all in all, the season still holds.
It does, and because it's also just still so much better. Even like a weak Cobra Kai season is better than most other television.
90% of the shit that they're shoveling onto the pile these days.
Pretty much. Which is why I'm glad to be able to talk about it, because it's just fun to talk about things you like, and that's what I think we're going to do a little more of.
Yeah, yeah.
See, we didn't even bring up She-Hulk once or any of that. Oh,
Oops.
it's terrible. But go watch Cobra Kai instead.
I here's the thing, right? Like I would love to try and talk about She-Hulk or 900 of the other things that have shown up on Disney Plus, but I don't have Disney Plus and I don't care to get it.
Nah, I think
Like
you're
none
right.
of those shows are really like I haven't heard good things about any of them. And we'd have to start a separate channel if I were to start offering like critical reviews of shitty shows. Cuz like and you know this, even things that I really like I'll usually have several complaints about things that I thought were poorly executed. Imagine now if I had to watch something I really didn't like.
Exactly.
We'd be getting baller level, like, on how much
Well,
shit I'd have to point out.
we already do the long man content. We're already those guys. We're at an hour and a half almost, which we're wrapping up, but we're almost there. So, which is
Dude,
good.
an
I like
hour and
that
a half
content.
is a sampling for those guys.
That's true.
I think they just the other day they did 9 hours talking about episodes 3 and 4 of Rings of Power.
That show
Nine
is
hours.
that show is trash too, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched it. I've just caught clips here and there and got the synopsises of each of the episodes, and I'm just like, this is hot garbage.
All right. Well, I think we covered a lot of good ground. It was another fun episode of the Ascendant Art Podcast, which at the for the time being is under new management with myself and Joey over there. So
Yeah, and we may mess a little with the format. We're gonna see what works. We're gonna try like there may not be a whole lot of consistency from one week to the next while we figure everything out.
the consistent thing is going to be that we're just trying to be a fun place to hang out and chat about whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome. We're a fun place for whoever wants to talk. We're probably going to still try to have guests on. It'll just be a little bit more of a looser format. I've talked a lot about it in some of our episodes with comedians and people into comedy that I loved Opie and Anthony's show way back when because it was just a fun hang, and that's what Joe Rogan kind of modeled his podcast on, and that's what I've always kind of enjoyed content-wise, so it's kind of what I want to make. And I think Joey's in the same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Fun hangout for whoever wants to. If we want to come in, we'll just let them talk. We'll ask questions, and it'll just be good times. So, thanks for coming and watching the show. Hopefully, if you're catching this on the replay, you'll give a thumbs up. You'll share it, like, subscribe, hit them, smash that like button. All those good things YouTubers say.
You just go through the normal list of things that we're gonna ask you to do that you're probably not gonna do until we've asked you to do it about 15, 30, 400 times.
Yep.
If we could just skip ahead to the part where you're a subscriber, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, and if you listen on other podcast formats, like, subscribe on those. We're going to try to put audio podcast versions out as well. And hopefully everybody can just have a good time and enjoy our show going forward. But thanks for coming out and listening.
Okay, bye.
Bye.